Hey everyone, and welcome back. We are doing a deep dive today on, you probably know it, the Four Agreements. But we're adding a little bit of a twist.
Yeah.
We're actually going to be looking at its companion book, too,
Yes.
to kind of like, I don't know, unlock even more insights, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think this will be really fun because it gets into like how our minds work in these invisible scripts that we all kind of live by,
Yeah.
and maybe how to like break free from those limitations.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like excavating really the foundation of your belief system, you know?
Yeah.
And the companion book, I think, adds a whole other dimension to the original,
Okay.
especially when it comes to the idea of domestication.
Domestication. Okay, so that's a word that I feel like we need to unpack a little bit.
Yeah.
What does Ruiz even mean by that?
Yeah. He's talking about how from the moment we're born, we're basically taught what to think, how to behave, how to feel. It's like we're fit into this mold
Right.
that society creates for us.
Right?
And it's not always pretty, you know? In fact, the companion book makes this really stark statement. Human suffering begins with domestication.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we internalize all these rules, these expectations, and then they just become our normal,
Yes.
even if they're not serving us.
Exactly. Exactly. And Ruiz calls that internalized rule book our book of law.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the sum of all those unspoken agreements
Right.
that we make, often based on fear or a need for approval.
Oh, interesting.
And it ends up dictating how we live our lives.
Okay, I'm starting to get this, but how does that actually, show up in our lives?
Yeah.
What does that book of law look like in action?
Well, imagine this. Okay, so you have a goal.
Okay.
Maybe there's a dream job you really want to go for.
Yeah?
But then this voice in your head starts saying, like, you're not qualified enough, or what if you fail and everyone judges you?
Yeah. Right? It's self-sabotage.
Yes.
Almost hardwired into us.
Yes, exactly. And the companion book actually takes it a step further with this really powerful analogy of the parasite.
The parasite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds kind of intense,
I
but
know, a little bit.
it's actually a brilliant way to understand how these self-limiting beliefs actually operate. So the parasite has three parts: the judge, the victim, and the book of law itself.
Okay, so how do those three parts all work together?
Well, imagine the judge as that inner critic, you know, constantly judging and evaluating you
Yeah.
against those rules that you've internalized.
Oh, right.
And then there's the victim, that part of you that feels inadequate or unworthy based on what the judge is saying.
Right, right.
And fueling this whole dysfunctional dynamic is the book of law, which provides the logic and the beliefs that keep the cycle going.
So it's like this parasite is feeding off of like our own negative energy, keeping us trapped in self-doubt and fear.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, there's so much to unpack there.
It really is. But the good news is once you become aware of this dynamic, you can start to break free.
And that's what we're going to dive into next, right?
Yes.
Like learning how to actually challenge those old agreements and rewrite them.
Exactly.
But before we do that,
Mm.
I think it's important to sit with this idea of the parasite for a minute
Mm-hmm.
and think about your own life. Where have you seen the judge, the victim, the book of law show up?
Mm.
How have they impacted your choices, your relationships, even just your overall sense of self?
It's a powerful question to consider.
Mm.
Because once you see the mechanism, you can start to reclaim your power.
So we've kind of uncovered this invisible structure,
Right.
this like book of law that shapes our reality. But here's the really empowering part.
Yeah.
You have the power to break free.
Yeah. And one of the most powerful tools for breaking free is understanding this concept of the second attention.
The second attention.
Yeah, Ruiz talks about this in the companion book.
Yeah.
It's like, you know how your mind's like constantly going,
Yeah.
chattering, judging, worrying.
Yeah, all the time.
It's like having a radio, right?
Yeah,
It's just playing all these old tapes
Right.
based on your book of law.
Yeah.
And the second attention is like finally like tuning into a different frequency.
Okay.
It's about stepping back, like just observing those thoughts, those emotions,
Okay.
without getting completely swept away by them.
So instead of being totally merged with that inner critic, you can kind of create some distance.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's recognizing you are not your thoughts, right?
Right.
You are the one observing them. And from that space of observation, you have the power to actually choose
Okay.
which thoughts you want to engage with and which ones you just want to let go of.
You know, that actually reminds me of the first agreement. Be impeccable with your word. Because it's not just about what we say out loud, it's also that internal dialogue.
Exactly. Exactly. When we can access that second attention, we can start to question those old agreements, right? Rewrite them in our book of law. And that's where the power of our words comes in.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our words have immense power, both internally and externally.
Yeah, for sure.
They can either perpetuate those old patterns, the self-sabotage, or they can actually create a new, more empowering reality.
It's like choosing to speak to ourselves with the same kindness that we would offer a friend.
Yes, I love that.
Right. Not that kind of harsh, judgmental voice.
It's true, yeah. It's like we all deserve that level of, I don't know, love and respect from ourselves. And when we speak to ourselves from that place of compassion, it naturally flows into our interactions with everyone else.
So it's not just about being nice to be nice. It's like, it's deeper than that, right?
Yeah.
It's about our intentions, about our values.
Precisely, yes. And that's actually a great segue into the next two agreements,
Okay.
which really help us to navigate relationships.
This is where things get really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because, like, applying these principles in relationships,
Yes.
especially when things get tough,
Yeah,
that feels like the real test,
absolutely.
So how do these next two agreements, like, don't take anything personally
Right.
and don't make assumptions,
Right.
how do those fit in?
Well, they're really all about understanding that everyone else is operating from their own book of law, their own set of experiences, beliefs, all of that, shaping their perceptions.
Okay, so easier said than done.
Right.
Because, like, when someone says something hurtful,
Yes.
it's hard not to just, like, internalize that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Take it personally.
Yeah, and the companion book actually offers a really, I think, helpful analogy here.
Okay.
Imagine, okay, you suddenly woke up in, like, medieval Europe.
Okay.
But with all of your current values and understanding of the world,
Sure.
how do you think people would react to, like, your modern ideas and beliefs?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be like, I don't know, labeled a heretic for sure, right? for saying what I believe.
And everyone around you would just be acting from their version of normal.
Right.
Just like the people in your life today.
So when someone reacts to you based on their book of law,
Okay.
it's not really about you. It's about the stories they're telling themselves
Right.
based on their own, past conditioning.
That's such a good reframe.
Yeah.
Because instead of getting defensive
Right.
or taking it personally, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
they're acting from a place of maybe unconsciousness, not malice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
And that understanding can really free you up, right, from
Yeah.
getting caught up in their drama.
Cool.
And it allows you to respond with more compassion, maybe even curiosity,
Yeah.
rather than just reacting.
Okay, so that's don't take anything personally.
Right.
Don't make assumptions.
So that one is about recognizing that we often project our own interpretations onto situations and people without even realizing it.
Oh, yeah?
So we jump to conclusions, right,
Totally.
based on our book of law.
Yeah, we're filling in the blanks with our own stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that creates so much, conflict and misunderstanding.
Yeah, for sure.
The antidote is to communicate clearly,
Right.
ask clarifying questions,
Yeah.
and just be open to hearing those different perspectives.
Yeah, like choosing understanding over being right.
Precisely.
Okay.
And that brings us to the fourth agreement, always do your best,
Yes.
which really ties everything together.
I love that one.
Yeah.
It's about striving for excellence, pushing ourselves, right?
It is about striving, but not in the way that we typically think, right?
Okay.
So always do your best isn't about perfectionism. It's really about showing up authentically
Okay.
in each moment
Yeah.
with integrity
Right.
and with self-compassion.
So it's more about the intention and the effort
Yes,
than the outcome.
exactly.
Okay.
Because your best is going to look different from day to day,
Right.
even hour to hour.
Oh, for sure.
Some days your best might be getting out of bed,
Totally.
facing the day.
Yeah.
Other days, it might be tackling a challenging project with everything you've got.
It's about, like, aligning our actions with our values,
Right.
even when it's hard.
Precisely.
Right.
And remembering to be kind to ourselves along the way.
Right.
Because even when we stumble, which we all do, we're still learning.
Yeah.
We're still growing.
This has been incredible.
Such a good book, right?
I know. Like the Four Agreements, and especially through the lens of the companion book,
Yes.
it's just such a profound roadmap
It is, yeah.
for, like, personal transformation.
Absolutely. And it all starts with awareness.
Right.
Right. Becoming aware of the dream that we've been living in.
Yes.
The unconscious agreements.
Yes.
That's the first step towards freedom.
I love that.
Yeah.
So to our listeners,
Yes.
we leave you with this.
Okay.
Now that you're aware of the dream,
Yes.
how will you choose to rewrite your story? What new agreements will you make?
Love it.
With yourself, with the world?
Yes.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep into all that incredible potential within you.
Yes.
Until next time.